Once upon a time, there was a boy named Henry who lived in a village named Alata. Henry was a hard-working farmer and a decent son to his parents. He was known to be very kind and compassionate. But he had a very serious issue. He was unusually very slim, like he had HIV, and he had a face full of pimples. These pimples were so bad that it was as if he had chickenpox all over his face. Now Henry loved women very much. He adored the women of his village and would consistently give them compliments when they passed him by on the streets of the village. But because of his condition, all the girls would ignore his advances because he was very ugly and disgusting in their eyes. Anytime he passed a group of girls, they would all turn and begin to gossip about him loudly, to his hearing, making remarks about how desperate and irritating his advances were. Some would even throw stones at him sometimes out of spite, and most people in the village considered it to be an abomination to be associated with him. But this never broke Henry's spirit. He wouldn't mind them because he felt that there was nothing he could do about his condition. He couldn't stop making advances at girls because he was attracted to them, hoping that one day one of them would see him for who he truly was. So he kept on living his life as a hard-working farmer. One day, when Henry was in the forest, getting some firewood to use to cook, he heard a loud sound coming from a nearby bush. "Help! Oh, God, please help!" the voice screamed. So he hurriedly went to investigate where the noise was coming from and who was making it. When he got there, he found out that it was a beautiful girl who was ambushed by a big Canidae. The Canidae cornered the girl in a tight spot and slowly approached her as she screamed. So Henry immediately called the girl's attention with a loud shout. "Hello, my name is Henry. I'm here to help. Please don't make any sudden movements or the beast will strike you." The girl responded, "Don't leave me alone here, please. I'm so terrified that my body is frozen with fear. Please don't allow me to be eaten by this Canidae. I am an only child to my parents." Henry replied, "Don't worry. I won't let that happen." So Henry courageously carried a big stick and charged at the Canidae to draw its attention. When the Canidae saw Henry coming at full speed, it got scared and cowardly ran away. Henry had saved the beautiful girl and hurriedly grabbed her hand to take her to a safe spot in the farm so she could calm her nerves down. When he brought her there, he asked, "Beautiful maiden, what were you doing wandering about the forest like that? Don't you know this forest is filled with several wild and dangerous animals?" The girl replied, and as her breathing was still fast-paced, I know. I just got lost. I ran away here to cry my eyes out and be alone. But I guess the Canidae saw me lonely and decided to keep me company." Henry then replied, "Ha ha ha ha! You are quite a funny lady. So the Canidae was keeping you company, you say? So why were you screaming as it was coming closer and closer? Perhaps it wanted to ask you what happened. That made you so sad." As he said this, both Henry and the girl looked at each other and laughed earnestly. After laughing, Henry asked the girl, "So my name is Henry. What is yours, by the way?" "Nice to meet you, Henry." "Oh, my name is Nancy, by the way. I hail from this village." Henry then responded, "Oh, I see. A maiden from this village, you say? So if I may ask, and I know I'm not a Canidae by any means, what made you so sad that you felt running into this dangerous forest alone? Was the only solution?" Henry asked. Nancy then began talking. "Well, I was talking with a group of my friends, and then they started insulting me that I am unattractive and unappealing to men because I am yet to get a boyfriend." Henry immediately responded, "Well, that's outrageous. I mean, look at you. You are the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life, and I am not just pulling your legs." Nancy blushed. "You really see me that way?" she asked. "Of course I do. I mean, why do you think I saved you? You think it's out of the kindness of my heart?" Henry sarcastically said. Nancy laughed at Henry's sarcasm and then responded to him, "Well, Henry, if you think I'm beautiful, wait till you see my friends Violet and Mabel. They are beyond beautiful. They pull all the men in the village, and always get gifts and attention from men. Wait a minute, Violet, as in I know those girls, Henry responded. You do? Nancy asked. Yes, I do, Henry answered. They are among some of the girls who nag me and rain insults on me in the village each time I try to make advances at them or compliment their beauty because of my body stature. Although I do not hate them, I find them to be quite rude. But what I don't understand is why they would make you feel ugly or inferior to them. To me, you are far more beautiful than they are, Henry said. Really? You think that way about me? Nancy asked. Yes, of course I do. And you know what? I think it's time you get a new set of friends because obviously your old ones don't appreciate you. But where would I begin to find new friends in this lonely village? Nancy asked. Well, for a start, I'll be your friend, Henry responded. I promise to not insult you or make you feel inferior to your former friends, as long as you promise not to insult me or make me feel inferior too, Henry said. Of course, Henry, Nancy responded. So Henry and Nancy, from that day henceforth, became the closest of friends in the village. They would visit each other in all sorts of places, like the farm and the forest and even Nancy's house when her parents were not around. During their time together, they would share personal secrets with each other, support each other emotionally, and be there for each other. It was as if they were different sides of the same coin. They complemented each other in almost every aspect. And soon enough, their friendship began to blossom into something more, something both of them had longed for a very long time. But in the midst of all these good times, Nancy's former friends were about to make a comeback in Nancy's life. One day, on a sunny afternoon, when Nancy was alone at home, she heard a knock on her door. She asked who it was. And then Mabel and Violet's voices responded to her. It is us. Nancy, please open the door. What are you doing here? Nancy asked as she screamed at the door. We came to see you, Nancy, Mabel responded. We've missed you a lot, and we have not been seeing you around any of our hangout spots. Please open the door. I don't want to see you guys, Nancy screamed from inside. You guys hurt me all because I didn't have a boyfriend. We know, and we are sorry. Now please open the door so that we can properly apologize, Violet said from outside. So Nancy later gave in and opened the door for them. When they came in, they berated Nancy with thousands of apologies, trying to get her back in the friend group. Nancy initially refused their offer, but after much pressure, she gave in, and they all reconciled. The following day, as the reunited friends were hanging out, Mabel asked Nancy if she finally got a boyfriend when she was away from them. No, I haven't, Nancy responded. But there is this guy I have been talking to for some time now. I really like him, and I think we have a strong connection. I'm sensing he feels the same way, and might ask me out for soon. A crush, I see, Violet chipped in. I hope he is handsome. I hope he is rich, she asked Nancy. Well, he is handsome to me, Nancy responded, and he might not be rich now, but he is so hard-working. I know he will become rich later in life. Immediately, Nancy finished responding. Mabel and Violet burst out laughing hysterically. So you are still this naive? Mabel asked Nancy. So this your Prince Charming? What is his name? She asked. Nancy immediately responded. Well, I am not naive, and his name is Henry, for your information. Immediately, she said his name. Both Mabel and Violet were struck with silence for a couple of seconds. Violet then asked, Wait, is it the Henry that looks like an HIV patient? The one that has a face full of pimples? The ugliest and most disgusting guy in the village? Please don't say it is him. Well, I wouldn't associate his character with such vile and hurtful statements like you just said. Nancy responded, But yes, it is that Henry. And for a matter of fact, I hope you know he can't help looking like that. That is how he naturally is. What actually matters is what is inside his heart. Mabel then quickly responded to Nancy. Who cares about what is in his heart? All that matters is how he looks, and he looks disgusting. Nancy, you can't be friends with that guy. You know better. And why not? Why can't I be friends with him? Nancy asked Violet. Violet then responded, well, for one, he is ugly. 2, he is poor. And 3, you know everyone in the village secretly looks down on him because of his stature. So associating with him will inevitably rub off some of that bad will on you. Well, he treated me better than both of you ever did, Nancy responded. And all these things you said about him might be true, but that's the more reason why I think he needs me. A true friend to him. Imagine how lonely he must be feeling, with all the villagers treating him like an outcast. Look, Violet, you are not God. Stop having a savior complex. Cut that guy off before it is too late, Mabel chipped in. Never. I would never do such a wicked thing to Henry, Nancy responded. Very well, then. If we see you and him together, we would call the attention of the villagers. And disgrace both of you, since you don't want to hear a word, Violet told Nancy. You would never, Mabel responded. Oh, yes, I will. Don't try me, Nancy, and you know what I am capable of, Violet said. Nancy then responded, I can't believe I forgave you guys. You guys are just as wicked and heartless as you were before. She then walked out of their presence, in contempt. In the evening, Nancy got a letter, slid under her house door. It was a letter from Henry asking her to meet him in the forest the following day at a designated time. He stated in the letter that there was something special he wanted to tell her. Nancy happily read the letter, already imagining what the special thing Henry was going to tell her. Throughout the night, she was restless, in anticipation of the next day. Goosebumps filled her skin as she created different scenarios in her head of what their interaction was going to be like. During this time, the night dragged on for too long, like tomorrow was wasting time to come for her. But eventually, the following day came. Nancy quickly prepared and waited for the designated time. Henry instructed they should meet. When that time came, she left straight for the forest. As she was heading out, she was unaware that Violet and Mabel had sneakily followed her from behind to see where she was going. Now, when Nancy arrived at the spot Henry had instructed her to come to, they both met and hugged each other. They began catching up with each other about what they had been doing the past couple of days. Then all of a sudden, Henry disrupted the flow of the conversation and started telling Nancy, Nancy, the past few months we've spent as friends has been so fulfilling. I feel like we have known each other our whole lives. You filled a void in my life that I have been longing for ever since I knew how to say ABC. What are you saying, Henry? Nancy asked, pretending she was oblivious. Henry then responded, What I am saying, Nancy, is that I love you. You are the purest, kindest, most beautiful and trustworthy girl I know. I feel I was blessed when you became my friend, and that is why now I want to take things a step further with you. Nancy, would you marry me? I know traditionally I'm supposed to ask you to be my girlfriend first, but I don't want to waste any of that time. I'm sure in my heart you are the one for me, and I know we will figure out the rest along the way. So, Nancy, the love of my life, I ask again, would you marry me? After he said this, Nancy began blushing uncontrollably as she exclaimed, Yes, yes, I will marry you. They both immediately hugged, and Nancy kissed him passionately as the new couple enjoyed their newfound status. But Violet and Mabel had already made plans to ruin their moment. You see, when Violet and Mabel arrived at the site, with Nancy, they hid under a bush unknown to Henry and Nancy as they watched them, when they saw that Henry had begun. Professing his love to Nancy, Violet sent Mabel to go and alert all the villagers she could find and bring them to the site, to come and see the spectacle, So after Nancy and Henry kissed, Violet sprouted out of the nearby bushes and shouted, "Shame! Shame! Shame on you, Nancy! How can you accept marrying this beast? I can't believe you. You are a disgrace to our group, and you even kissed his pimple-filled face. Disgusting. You both are disgusting, and you both deserve each other. How the hell is our love your business? Have you been following us?" "Violet, leave here instantly, if you know what is good for you," Nancy replied. "Or what, Nancy? What would happen? For your information, I have already sent Mabel to alert the villagers. All of them are already on their way here to behold this abomination. I would advise you to deny this retarded man in front of the villagers and preserve your honor as a maiden in this village, or else you would become a castaway, like Henry," Violet told Nancy. "What? How can you do such a thing? You wouldn't dare! And for your information, I would never betray Henry like that," Nancy responded as she grabbed Henry's hand. "In solidarity." And as she was still talking, Mabel arrived at the site with a great number of villagers. She had informed of what was going on as Violet instructed. When the villagers arrived, they majorly consisted of maidens, and when they saw both Nancy and Henry together, they began whispering to themselves. So this might be true. The girl is really in love with that disgusting man. It's unbelievable. As Nancy saw the villagers arrive, she was gripped with a great fear, and she immediately detached her hand from Henry's hand, in shame. So one of the girls in the crowd of villagers asked Nancy openly, "Nancy, daughter of Ruth and William, is it true that you have been infatuating with this outcast? Are the rumors we have been hearing factual? Yes or no? Tell us if true. You know the consequences. You would be treated like an outcast like him. If false, then you would tell us why Mabel and Violet found you two alone, in this middle of the forest." As Nancy heard this, she was completely terrified. She began considering what it would mean to equally be treated as an outcast like Henry, just because of her affiliation with him. She thought of what her parents would think of her, and what that would mean. So, in a moment of weakness, she abandoned her heart, and replied to the villagers, "No, it's false. I have no affiliation with this man. I don't even know him. Talk less of infatuating with him." As Henry heard this, his eyes sunk in utter sadness and betrayal. He couldn't believe that those words were coming out of Nancy's mouth. But then the villagers asked Nancy, "So, why were the two of you alone in the bush when Mabel and Violet found you?" Nancy immediately replied, "He kidnapped me on my way to my parents' farm, and then he tried to grope me. Thankfully, that was when Mabel and Violet arrived. When they arrived, they didn't understand what was going on, so they assumed I was flirting with the outcast. I wasn't. I would never subject myself to such a vile act." When Nancy finished talking, Violet and Mabel looked at themselves and smiled. They then began defending Nancy's story, telling the villagers that they might have misunderstood. What was going on between Nancy and Henry? That Nancy was actually a victim of Henry's desperate act to sleep with a woman. When Henry saw all that went down, tears began pouring out of his eyes. He pleaded with Nancy, "Nancy, please tell the villagers that this isn't true. Please, please don't do me like this. Please, I can't bear these allegations. If they believe what you are saying." As he said this, Nancy looked into his eyes with shame, and then she hardened her heart and responded, "Shut up, outcast. You tried to grope me. Stop pretending. These villagers would never believe your lies." After she said this, the villagers believed her story and resolved to arrest Henry for trying to grope her. Immediately, Henry began running away from their midst in tears. As the villagers chased him, they chased him for hours, as he ran into the evil forest of their village. But eventually, he lost them in the forest, and the villagers gave up and went home. Now, in the later hours of that day, while in the forest, hurt and heartbroken with bruises all over his body. From maneuvering the harsh terrain of the forest, he laid there hopelessly under a tree, as he had given up on life. But soon after, a herd of canidae surrounded him as he laid on the ground and began drawing closer to him. When one of the canidai's legs made a loud noise, as it stepped on a broken branch, it woke Henry up, and he then saw the canidae drawing closer to him, with every step. As he laid helpless, Henry, already defeated, exclaimed, "Go ahead, beast! Eat me! Devour me! At least I know I am wanted by something, even if it's a beast that wants to eat me." As Henry said this, he closed his eyes, awaiting to be eaten. That was until he heard a voice. "Why would you think I would want to eat you?" Henry opened his eyes, trying to hear where the voice was coming from. And lo and behold, it was one of the canidae talking. Henry assumed that he must be going crazy because of the loss of blood from his injuries. But the canidae assured him that he was sane. "Fear not, human, for you are not crazy. I am here to help. I've been here to help the whole time. Even when you chased me away the first time, I was here to help," the canidae told Henry. Henry then replied, "What do you mean, strange beast? Are you teasing me? Why not just go ahead and eat me and put me out of my misery, please? I wish to disappear from this world." As Henry was talking, the canidae took a human-like form in the presence of Henry. It was the figure of a beautiful mystic woman, adorned in deep indigo, gold, and white clothing. The figure started talking. Henry feared not. "My name is Ashuri, the goddess of the betrayed and hopeless. I came here because I sensed your sorrow in this forest, just as I appeared to your female friend, when I sensed her sorrow from being hurt." "So, what happened, Henry? Who betrayed you?" the goddess asked. "A goddess, you say? Well, that doesn't impress me," Henry replied. "You would still find a way to betray me, just like Nancy, just like everybody else in my life. Please, help me disappear from this world. Use your goddess powers to destroy me," he begged desperately. "Henry of the humans, I can grant your request, but first you must explain to me how you reached such a harsh decision. Who betrayed you, and why are you so sad?" the goddess asked. Henry agreed and told the goddess his full story. After hearing everything, the goddess was moved to tears. She spoke with compassion. "I have heard your story, and I feel for you. I will grant you your wish, but in a special way. Instead of taking your life, I will grant you the power of invisibility. Use it wisely, to confront the truths of your life and to see those who have hurt you clearly." Henry accepted the gift, and with the power of invisibility, he left the forest. He returned to the village, and not to harm anyone, but to observe it, to finally understand the actions of those who had hurt him. Over the next days, he saw the consequences of gossip, jealousy, and cruelty. He realized that many of the girls who had cast him aside were lost in their own insecurities. But when he approached Nancy's home, he noticed something different. She was sitting alone, surrounded by letters, diaries, and memories of their friendship. She was crying, not out of malice, but out of regret for betraying him. Henry peeked unseen, and for the first time he saw her remorse. Every word she had written, every tear she shed, spoke of her wish to make amends. Henry felt a flood of emotion. Pain, yes, but also compassion. He realized that revenge would not heal him, nor would it bring her redemption. With his heart heavy but resolute, he stepped out into the open, revealing himself to Nancy. "I see your heart, Nancy. I see your regret. And I see my own strength in facing the past," Henry said. Nancy looked up, startled, then whispered, "Henry, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." Henry nodded. "You've learned, and I've learned. Let the past be a lesson for both of us. We move forward, not with anger, but with understanding." And so Henry chose forgiveness, not for them, but for himself. From that day, he continued his life as a kind-hearted, compassionate man, stronger in spirit and wiser in heart. And Nancy? She never forgot the boy she once underestimated, and the man who taught her the power of redemption and forgiveness. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave what you learned from it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.